The king we're going to discuss today had a troublesome rule. His brother and aunt challenged him, his legitimacy was questioned, rebellions plagued him, and his rule was ultimately short. Today we will be talking about King Aenys, the son of Aegon the Conqueror, and the queen, Rhaenys Targaryen. Hey there, little dragons! Today we will be continuing the Rulers of the Past series and will be discussing the son of Aegon and Rhaenys, King Aenys I. I am so happy that so many people enjoyed the first video in the series, and I decided to make the part 2 as soon as I could. Just some housekeeping real quick. When I made this channel, I was a cis woman, but I recently discovered that I am actually a trans male. So I now go by Victor, and my channel has been updated to reflect that change. I am now also on Patreon, and you can subscribe for as little as $3 and get early access to all my videos, as well as Patreon exclusive content. Also, I forgot to establish a rule for this series in the last episode. I will only be covering kings and queens that have sat the Iron Throne, so no rebel kings will be counted. Sorry, Stannis fans. But anyways, with all that aside, let's get on with the video and talk about the life of King Aenys I. Aenys was born in 7 AC to Queen Rhaenys Targaryen and his father King Aegon I, the Conqueror. In his early years, he was very sickly and would only drink from his mother's breast. His weak, sickly nature spurred rumors that he was not Aegon's true-born son and that Rhaenys had fallen pregnant by one of the singers that would entertain her. When his mother died fighting in Dorne, Aenys was only 3. The death of his mother traumatized him to the point where he began to crawl around like a baby. This made the rumors of his legitimacy even worse. However, when he was given the hatchling Quicksilver, he quickly became stronger and the rumors that he was not Aegon's son were stopped. He was 5 years older than his half-brother Maegor, and the siblings were never close. Because Visenya and Maegor lived on Dragonstone, and Aegon raised Aenys to be a king while in King's Landing. Aenys did practice fighting with his father's Kingsguard. Aegon even let Aenys practice with Blackfyre from time to time. Aenys did train often, but he was never as fierce as his father and brother. In 22 AC, Aenys would marry Alyssa Velaryon. This was a political marriage, but they did have 6 children. They had 3 boys, Aegon, Viserys, and Jaehaerys, and 3 daughters, Rhaena, Alysanne, and Vaela. It was said that he had a loving marriage and good relationship with his children. Aenys was very involved with the ruling of the 7 kingdoms. He would accompany his father on the trip to Dorne to celebrate the 10th anniversary of peace between the Iron Throne and Dorne. When his father turned 60, Aenys and his wife Alyssa took over the royal progresses. In 37 AC, Aenys would ascend the throne after Aegon died from a stroke. Aenys gifted Blackfyre to his brother Maegor, saying that Maegor was better suited for the blade. However, he did ask Maegor to swear his loyalty and sword to him and that they'd rule together. There are different accounts on what crown Aenys was crowned in King's Landing it was said that he was crowned in his father's Valyrian steel and ruby crown, but it was also said that in Old Town he was crowned in a gold crown with the faces of the 7 engraved on it. He did receive the blessings of the Fae for his rule. However, people questioned his ability to rule. The loudest voice in this matter was the Dowager Queen Visenya. She would loudly proclaim that him giving Blackfyre to Maegor was a sign that he lacked the strength to rule. Not only that, but in the first year of his rule there were 4 open rebellions. Red Heron in the Riverlands claimed that he was the grandson of Heron the Black, and he took over the ruined Harrenhal and killed Lord Gargon Corhys. In the Iron Islands, a man named Lodos, claiming to be a priest king, gathered followers. In the Dornish marches, the Vulture King gathered angry Dornishmen who wanted revenge against the Iron Throne for the damage and death caused by the First Dornish War. And in the Vale, the Lord of the Vale was taken captive by his brother. Aenys did not respond well to the rebellions. He was convinced the small folk loved him, so he was slow to action because he was in denial. He deliberated on whether or not he should send ravens to the rebels, asking why they rebelled, rather than directly ending the rebellions himself. Due to his inaction, the lords of the 7 kingdoms took matters into their own hands. In the Eyrie, Lord Allard Royce and his forces rose up against Janos Aaron, and Maegor flew out on Balerion to resolve the issue. In the Iron Islands, Lord Goran Greyjoy sent his fleet to face the supposed Priest King and his followers. Lodos was slain and his pickled head was sent to the King Aenys. Princess Daria Martell mostly ignored the Vulture King, but the Marcher Lords squashed his rebellion. Red Heron outlasted all the other rebellions, but he was eventually defeated by the Hand of the King and his forces. However, the Hand, Alan Stokeworth, would die in the conflict against Red Heron. Aenys was grateful to all the lords who crushed the rebellions. All received rewards and titles. One of the gifts he would regret would be the gift to the Iron Islands. He told them they could have anything they were desired. They requested to remove the Faith of the Seven from the Iron Islands. This angered the Faith of the Seven. Due to the death of the Hand of the King, Maegor was named Hand. They ruled together with little to no conflict for 2 years. However, conflict would arise when Maegor declared that his wife was barren and he would take a second wife. This angered the Faith, and many lords condemned Maegor. This left Aenys with no choice. He told Maegor that he either had to put aside his second wife or be exiled. Maegor chose exile. Aenys requested that Maegor return Blackfyre. Maegor refused, and the relationship between Aenys and Maegor was soured. To placate the Faith, he named Septon Myrmidon Hand of the King. However, this did not help, and the High Septon regularly voiced his discontent with the crown, and the small folk and lords viewed Aenys as weak. Aenys was oblivious to these criticisms. In 41 AC, it was announced that the king's eldest son, Aegon, would marry his eldest daughter, Rhaena. There was a huge controversy with this marriage. The Faith condemned the crown for the arranged incestuous marriage, and Aenys was surprised by this reaction. While Aenys was normally indecisive and slow to action, he quickly stood by his choice, and the wedding took place that year. On the day of the wedding, knights sworn to the Faith, known as the Warrior Sons, watched the wedding and kept note of every person that attended the wedding. At the wedding feast, Aenys announced that his son Prince Aegon would be named Prince of Dragonstone. The title previously belonged to Prince Maegor, and upon hearing this announcement, the Dowager Queen Visenya promptly left the wedding in protest. Following the wedding, Aenys requested that Aegon and Rhaena make a royal progress. He expected this to correct the damage that the wedding had caused. However, the progress was only met with jeering small folk. Aenys went directly to the High Septon to try to repair the damage to the crown's relationship with the Faith. He tried to diplomatically explain the ancient tradition of incestuous Valyrian marriages and how House Targaryen needed to continue them. This did not go well, and the High Septon denounced the crown and began to call King Aenys King Abomination. After this, the religious lords of the realm and the small folk turned against Aenys. The High Septon declared the king a pretender and a tyrant, and the faithful lords and small folk were rallied to the Faith militant. The Hand of the King, Septon Myrmidon, was hacked to pieces by the Faith, and the Faith militant uprising had begun. The warrior's son fortified the Sept of Remembrance on Rhaenys' hill. This alarmed the king, and he fled to Dragonstone with his family. Before he fled, Sir Raymond Baratheon of the Kingsguard saved Aenys' life when two of poor fellows came into the king's manse and tried to assassinate the king. Once they arrived at Dragonstone, the Dowager Queen Visenya advised Aenys to bring fire and blood to the Sept and crush the rebellion with dragons. The king rejected this counsel, but did not know what course of action to take. By the end of 41 AC, most of the realm rebelled against Aenys and the crown. He would fall ill, and the Grand Maester remarked that Aenys was only 35, but he looked 60. He would die in 42 AC at the age of 35. Some speculated that the Dowager Queen Visenya was responsible for the death of Aenys. This is because she wanted her son Maegor to be king, and she suspiciously started taking care of Aenys when he became sick, even though they were at odds with one another. And after his death, she was able to get Maegor on the throne. Well guys, that was the life of Aenys. He sadly was weak, indecisive, and created a massive conflict with the Faith of the Seven that would almost destroy Targaryen rule. Like and subscribe if you want to hear about the life of Maegor the Cruel, and be sure to check out my Patreon if you'd like exclusive perks and content. This has been King Victor of House Strace, first of his name, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Protector of the Realm, and Lord of the Seven Kingdoms. Goodbye.